Everything good?
Who's holding the camera? Will it be Grant?
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 73rd Annual General Meeting of the Canadian Owners and Pilots Association. My name is Grant Bailey, and I'm Secretary of COPA. I'm also the Director representing Northern Ontario, out of North Bay, Ontario, and a past captain of COPA Flight 23. We're very, very pleased to be in Vernon here today and yesterday. We had a board meeting yesterday. It's a wonderful airport you've got here in an idyllic setting. And we would really like to thank the organizing committee, Pauline Radner, Rob McDicken. I'm sure there were others involved. Excellent job. And Cal Tire for letting us use this hangar this morning. Perfect location for an AGM, and we're looking forward to the rest of the day. We'd also like to respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people. We honor their enduring connection to this land and commit to the reconciliation and respectful collaboration while we are here. A few housekeeping items. I would ask that everybody turn their cell phones to mute. There aren't washrooms available here. There are washrooms available down in the terminal and in the flying club, and if anybody needs a ride, we have a few people that can provide rides down to the washrooms if anybody needs that to go. Exits. We have an exit over there to my left, and we also have an exit here. This exit, of course, is onto air side. So, of course, most of us are pilots here, so we know how to exercise caution on air side of the airport. In terms of the lineup for today, we're going to start with an informal session, basically a state of COPA information session. And then we're going to follow that with the business portion of the meeting. So this is what's the agenda for the informal portion of the meeting, and I'm going to invite Doug Ronan, our chair, to come up and introduce the staff. We've got a lot of new faces in COPA this year. So, Doug.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Doug Ronan, and I'm the chair of the board of COPA, and I'd like to welcome you all here to Vernon Airport. It's a great example of what COPA is all about. It's airports like this one that are the birthplace of a lifelong passion for both recreation and careers in all aspects of aviation. Aviation starts here, at places like this across the country. COPA board and staff have been very busy in the last year. We are very excited to welcome our new president and CEO, Marcia Kim. She brings loads of experience with member-driven organization like ours and has already flooded us with great ideas to make COPA better for you, our members. We are listening to all of you. In the coming months, you're going to hear a lot from the board, Marcia, and her great staff. We are taking industry lead on various issues, including ADS-B, airspace denials of service, dealing with ongoing issues with pilot medicals, to name a few. The COPA Aviation Academy, a partnership with COPA's Flight Safety Foundation and the Search and Rescue New Initiatives Fund, is up and running, and we are planning to also bring back online safety seminars. Marcia and her team will be going over this and more here today. COPA's insurance task force, led by Ashland Dale, has spent over 2 years developing our all-new Aviators Canada insurance program from the ground up, by pilots, for pilots. It's up and running and is a resounding success right out of the gate. We have partnered with our new broker, Covalin, led by superstar insurance broker Caleb Winterburn, who I'm sure most of you know, who has written over 20,000 insurance policies. They were lucky, and then we are lucky enough to partner with as well with the best and biggest underwriter in Canada, Global Aerospace, for a great all-Canadian team. We're getting great messages every day from members who have gotten great service, great coverage, and great prices from the new program. In my 20 years of being directly involved with COPA, I can say that we're accomplishing great things, and I look forward to continuing this positive momentum in the future. I want to personally thank all of our outgoing directors and for their service to COPA and its members, and also welcome the new directors who have stepped up for the next 4 years. Thank you. So I just wanted to introduce our staff, and if they could stand up and give a wave if they're here. And Marcia Kim is our new president and CEO. Ayub Makuar is our executive assistant and board liaison office manager in the front row here. James Ferrier is director of aviation operations. Hannah Abdu is acting director, marketing and communications. Catherine Moore is our director of membership services. And George Farrington is our director of advocacy, safety and training. And Delroy McPherson is our content marketing specialist, and I don't believe he's here. And Sophia Chuboka is our membership services representative. So all of them are going to be working hard for all of you. And I'm now going to introduce our new president and CEO, Marcia Kim.
Hi, everyone. Just got to get used to the mic, stand back a little. I'm honored to be here today in my new role as president and CEO and have this opportunity to speak with you today. I started on May 26th, and over the past 3 weeks, I've spent that time listening, learning, and getting to know the heart of the organization, its people, its mission, and its potential. Last weekend, I had the opportunity to go to Gatineau and attend a pilot meetup session and training, and meet a number of members. One question I heard a lot was whether I'm a pilot, and also, do I have any aviation background? And the answer is no. My background has been leading professional organizations. Over the last 8 years, I've served as the executive director for the Ophthalmologist and Firefighter Associations. I wasn't an ophthalmologist nor a firefighter, but I earned the trust of the professionals by listening closely, learning quickly, leading with integrity, and together we built programs, secured funding, and ensured policy or influenced policies that made a difference in their lives, both personally and professionally. So I don't see my role here as a subject matter expert in the cockpit. I'm fortunate I have a strong staff, a knowledgeable board, as well as knowledgeable members. I see my role with the association as clearing the runway. So I'm going to remove obstacles, amplify your voice, and ensure that COPA has the direction, the resources, and the support it needs to thrive. So while I'm new to aviation, I'm not new to building strong member-driven associations. And looking forward, I'm continuing to learn from you, work closely with our board, and ensure that COPA remains a powerful force in general aviation. And that brings us to this slide, what's coming for COPA. The first priority is deepening our member engagement. And to do that effectively, we need to strengthen our internal infrastructure. So we're going to be looking at aligning and enhancing our services, communications, and systems to better serve you. We're also focused on operationalizing our strategic plan, so moving from planning to execution. And this means setting a clear course forward to protect and promote your freedom to fly. And this is just the beginning. I'm committed to learning and listening more from you and earning your trust through transparency, responsiveness, and collaboration. In the coming months, I'll continue engaging with as many of you as possible. And I welcome your feedback, stories, and ideas. And hopefully after this session, we'll have a chance to connect. On this note, I'm going to introduce just members of our team. Doug mentioned them, but they'll be coming up and speaking a little bit about the work that they've been doing over the last little while in their different areas. Catherine, but we'll start with Jim. He's going to come up and talk about the recent work that he's been doing in advocacy with George on your behalf. So thank you for the welcome and support, and I look forward to engaging with you soon. Jim, I'll hobble up.
I guess that's my slides. Hi, everybody. Jim Ferrier. I'm the Director of Aviation Operations at COPA. Some of you may recognize me. I had a brief stint a couple of times sitting in the big chair trying to mind things while CEOs were sorted out. So I'm happy to be here. A quick background. I'm a retired guy. I spent 30 years in Nav Canada, Air Traffic Services, Aeronautical Information and Flight Operations, retiring as the director in 2020, and then previous president managed to convince me to come out of retirement and come and work in the association that I've been a member since the 1980s. So I'm happy to be here, love what I'm doing, glad to see people out that are interested. So I hope I got some good messages for you tonight, or this afternoon. So we'll jump into it. So the advocacy team is myself and George Farrington. So we overlap on a lot of things, and he takes the lead on some, and I take the lead on the other. Did I go two? I went two. Go back. Okay, so starting off, most of you probably know COPA is a founding partner with Transport Canada in the General Aviation Safety Program. So this is a program within industry that a number of different organizations meet on a regular basis, established originally, I believe, right here in BC a number of years ago as the General Aviation Safety Campaign. 9 working groups, I don't have them all listed there, things like maintenance and airworthiness, stabilized approach and on-ground or loss of control on the ground, voluntary reporting, safety equipment, among others. One particular note, mental health working group, which is led by George Farrington, our director, who has also just recently been appointed the co-chair for the whole program. So we are basically sitting there as the partner with Transport Canada on that. So we are regularly involved in this. Some of these working groups have reached out and have members. In the future, we may be reaching out as well for members to help participate in those. This has been a leading thing in the country for making a lot of changes that Transport Canada has listened to. We're also members at the wider North American safety groups with the U.S. as well as the General Aviation Joint Safety Committee, which has some really great material. If you look that up online and check out the General Aviation Joint Safety Committee, you can see a lot of good material coming out of the U.S. as well. Quick update, second one, 406 ELTs, for those of you that don't have them, it's coming this fall, so you should be looking to see what you can do about it. Really, D&D has been the big backer on this. We've had a lot of discussions over time with both D&D and Transport Canada about why are you pushing 406 on us when you're also pushing ADSB on us, et cetera, et cetera. Unfortunately, I guess in this one, the ship has sailed to this point, but we continue to have the discussions as things evolve, and if there are opportunities to swap out things in the future, we hope to do that. So the next, some of you may be familiar with in the West Coast, especially if you're in the Vancouver area, which is the topic of service denial. So this has been something that's been ongoing since about 2017 was where we started to get our very first reports of, in particular, VFR traffic being denied service in some of the Class C airspace. Priority item for us and a priority item for us dealing with Nav Canada. We do submit the reports that are given to us by members. We will even take them from non-members. We pass them to Nav Canada, ask for the reasons why it has been done, and overwhelmingly, I would say 99% of the time, it comes back as a staffing issue at Nav Canada. Simply don't have a number of people in the facilities to deal with it. The 2 real big spots, hot spots in the country are Vancouver, number 1, closely followed by Montreal. So we're consistently trying to push for accommodations and to get to the table to talk about possible solutions where we can get at least access on, whether it's a scheduled basis or on identified routes or those kind of things. So we're continuing to push hard on it. We've had some conversations, continue to have conversations. Hopefully the staffing situation will begin to resolve, although we've been told that in some cases, in particular the 2 places I noted, staffing issues may continue for at least 3 or 4 more years. So 1, 2, still in progress, continue to work on it. One of the positives is Transport Canada is aware of the problem. They are monitoring it. They have established a working group in particular in the Lower Mainland of BC to look at training areas and the congestion that's there. So they are Transport Canada is trying to get involved, trying to push NAV Canada to come up with solutions. So we're continuing to push on the Transport Canada side of things as well. We're also seeing a little bit of growing concern over some of the smaller airports where flight training units, for example, are beginning to use up capacity. One is very, very close by to us in Ottawa, which is Gatineau, where a flight training college has moved in. Capacity of the airport, single runway, not parallel taxiway, the full length of the runway, so it has a limited amount of how many airplanes you can move at a time. So there's beginning to be some discussions at some places where there are very active flight training units. So we're continuing to be involved in those discussions, and we have been invited to the table for those discussions and with the Transport Canada working groups that are going to be going forward. So we're continuing to work on it. Very, very big priority for us. The next one, near and dear to all of our hearts, I guess, is ADSB mandate, and I've added in electronic conspicuity here, which is a little bit of an add-on in the ADSB world. As we know, Class A airspace happened in 2023. Most of us are not flying in Class airspace, Class A, so not a huge big thing for us, but still concerning. Class B, of course, a little closer to our hearts in 2024. Still seeing some challenges there with the accommodation systems and the length of time being taken to actually get accommodations to fly in Class B airspace. And we're still tracking the statement of Class C, D, and E airspace not before 2028. So we are part of the discussions. As I said, we are the co-founder along with ATAC and General Aviation Manufacturers Association of an industry working group that contains many, many different people, Diamond Aircraft, Embraer, I can name a whole bunch, Garmin, a whole bunch of different industry partners that are really trying to seek clarity on the operating requirements and system performance that's being exhibited from the ADSB system in Canada. So through that group, we have had a number of outreach attempts to both NAV Canada and Transport Canada to try to clarify some of the bigger questions around it. Most recently, in the last couple of weeks, a little bit of a victory in that we have managed to get the Transport Canada Director General to commit to a 3-way meeting with industry, Transport Canada, and NAV Canada sit down and actually have some of the technical conversations which have been a challenge, I would say, over the last 3 to 4 years. Certainly since I came to COPA 3.5 years ago. So that's a win. We're actually going to get to have a discussion, so we're looking forward to that and hoping to see that in the next couple of weeks or months coming ahead. Transport Canada on the ADSB mandate, just to put it in a little bit of perspective, becoming more familiar with the challenges that are facing industry. They have become more involved, starting to ask more questions from the Air Navigation Service, asking about, in particular, some of the system performance issues. So it's good to see Transport Canada starting to step up. The other big thing we've been learning is NAV Canada is in the process, or has been in the process of acquiring ground ADSB stations and putting them in different locations. We know this is in response in particular to congested airspace, so southern mainland of BC, southern Ontario, east coast of Canada, problematic for the satellite-based systems, so we're seeing ground-based systems. So COPA's intention is to work very, very hard as we move forward and discussions about Class CD and airspace to push for a single bottom mount antenna meeting the requirement in Canada is our hope, and we're going to be pushing hard for that. So that's where we're sitting with that, with the ADSB side of things. Electronic conspicuity, for those of you that don't know, is a lighter weight solution than ADS-B, operates on the same frequencies. In a lot of cases, a portable system that provides both an ADS-B signal out and an ADS-B signal in, allows you to have a cockpit display that picks up traffic within about 5 miles of yourself. So this would bring the opportunity to exchange data not just in controlled airspace, but also uncontrolled airspace. So there are talks within industry and Transport Canada about bringing a voluntary equipage possibility and have this seen as a way of meeting safety equipment that could be allowed for aircraft. So we're working on that working group. There are some challenges around that about certified versus non-certified equipment, but those are the things that we're going to be talking about. Along that line of things, we do know, for example, that the US now is not the only country that's providing UAT out, so information coming out on the ADS-B systems. There are now some European countries starting to adopt that precedent as well, so we're continuing to follow that in Canada, see if there's any kind of opportunities. There is one particular private organization in Canada, the Canadian In-Flight Information Broadcasting Association, which is a not-for-profit based in Ontario, that is starting to put some ADS-B 978 UAT out installations privately operated around Canada, where you can get some traffic information in and out from some of the different optional systems like Nemo Scout, these other things. The problem with it is that they don't have access to the NSP data, so it's not a full traffic picture, but it is at least an augmentation of what you can get on UAT. So that's where we are with that side of, or that particular topic. That covers our first slide. So next into it, everyone's familiar, 100 low lead, pushing the US to have 100 low lead go out of use. 100 unleaded continues to see progress in the US, and we're monitoring that. Part of the Eagle working group in the US as well, monitoring what's happening. There are several 100 unleaded candidates out there. Swift Fuels is in final approvals, hasn't yet been completely authorized by the FAA for use. And then GAMI, of course, has what's called a blanket STC, basically, for many different engines, which is actually in production. 100 unleaded is in production and is available in the US from one distributor. So there are some airports in the US that are starting to see it. That creates a bit of a challenge, as in some of the states like California with very, very high environmental regulations. There are municipalities seeking to ban 100 low lead currently and to be replaced by solely 100 unleaded. The distributors and the fuel suppliers have challenged that in court, and recently in the last 2 weeks, the court did rule that 100 low lead couldn't be banned in California. So it should remain as an alternative or an option for people to use 100 low lead in California with 100 unleaded as an option. That being said, for any of you who may be traveling down to the US and going to any particular airports, be aware there may be 100 unleaded out there. And as far as Canadian operators, we don't have any guidance yet from TC, so be very cautious about what's happening down there. Next one, luxury tax. Not a lot of movement on this one over the last few years. Pretty much sort of a no coming to us from the federal government. In 2024, the Standing Committee on Finance of the federal government had recommended to Parliament that they remove the aircraft tax from the tax law. It wasn't actioned in the 2024 budget. With the new government, of course, we are going to have to follow up again and see where we go. Jim, standing in front of you, will make his personal opinion, that being that Chrystia Freeland is now our Minister of Transport, and she was the Minister of Finance that put in the luxury tax. I would gather that we have a fairly long road ahead of ourselves in discussions. So, to be updated as we know. Aerodromes. So we're seeing more and more aerodromes and airports trying to restrict, in particular, flight training, keep numbers down. Also, several airports trying to discourage GA by raising fees, landing fees, hangar fees, those kind of things. We've been very active over the last year or so in dealing with some of these airports. Winnipeg Airport actually is one that recently had a NOTAM, which was banning very specifically single-engine piston operations from Winnipeg Airport. George led the fight along with ATAC in the conversations with the Winnipeg Airport Authority and Nav Canada. We managed to get that NOTAM removed. They, of course, came up with a creative way of still trying to restrict without absolutely restricting, so they have put out a proposal that you need prior permission to do training operations, et cetera, there, while still maintaining that during the week single engine is effectively restricted. We continue to have discussions on it. Transport Canada is following this one in particular and have sent inspectors out to ask questions about the purpose behind it and so on. So ongoing, we continue to oppose those restrictions. The positive thing is that itinerant VFR is not restricted, so at least we still have access without it being training. One near and dear to our heart, Director Sigmund Sort, Qualicum Beach, the town council was considering a proposal to ban flight training at the airport. Through his actions and other people in Copa National, we managed to get information in front of the town council hands. They backed away from that, and they've now sort of put that to bed and found that they don't want to go down that road based on the information they received. Couple in Ontario, Goderich Town Council, beginning of this year, again, in their 2025 budget, we're proposing landing fees, user fees on airport. Copa National, spurred on by the local Copa flight there, managed to get briefing information in front of the town council, rally a lot of users in the local area. The comment that happened at town council, which I attended virtually, was this topic has had a lot of input, and which was very good to see, and the council and voted unanimously not to put fees for GA and to leave it open. So that was a really good one for us. And then right next door to Goderich, Sarnia Airport, Chris Hadfield Airport, was town council was considering their future plans for the airport, whether to divest, to continue to invest. Again, similar information campaign, Copa National with the local Copa flight, rallying local support, providing the information to town council. Previous CEO actually going on television for an interview and speaking virtually at the town council. Gave the information to the council, and again, unanimously, the town council or city council voted for continued investment in the airport going forward. So those were two really good wins for us this spring. We continue to see it. If you hear locally or in any areas that these type of things are happening, please reach out to us. We have a very good package now that we can help you with. Sigmund. Yes, so that was one that actually came as not in my presentation, but I became aware this morning. So last year we were also involved in Langley Airport. The airport was effectively trying to price owners out of their hangars, was essentially what it was. So again, local COPA members very instrumental in helping to rally support. Our regional director very active in it, supported by National, providing information to the city. Managed to get them to back off their plans. And I just found out this morning that now they're actually promoting. They've got a aviation expo that's apparently be happening in the next in September and so on, and that the council's attitude towards the airport has had to change. So these are some really positive things we've managed to do over the course of the last year. Another one in Manitoba where someone was proposing to build a house based on a variance right off the end of the runway. Managed to provide information to the town council again, and they would not give the variance to the builder that was hoping to build there. So another big win for us. The final one along the airports and aerodromes is we were approached by the Aerodrome Management Council or Airport Management Council of Ontario to assist them and get a letter of support, looking to establish a program of funding streams for smaller municipal airports that aren't that can't get funding from the federal ACAP programs and programs that support commercial traffic. So we're continuing to work that file. It's a big one. We're hearing about airports, I would say, if not every week, every month for sure that we're dealing with. Medicals and licensing. So This is when I got good news for people. We'll start a little bit at the beginning. We're continuing to see queries, so those have not gone away. I will say that they are significantly reduced from 2 or 3 years ago. There have been progress there. Most of them that we're hearing about are people with underlying conditions, so it's no longer usually people that, it's just being delayed because of processing stuff. There's issues that are being addressed. We maintain a continuous dialogue. I talk at a minimum of twice a year directly with the Director of Civil Aviation Medicine. Was lucky enough to have a meeting just first week that Marcia came on. I managed to introduce her to the file and had a discussion, and we got some good information of medicals happening in the country. So there's about 60,000 applications a year, for you to know. 75% of those are renewed at the CAMI, which means full real-time service. Here you go, bye, see you later. Of the remaining 25%, those are broken out into new files and those with underlying conditions. So about 15% or so is new files, 10% is underlying or complicating conditions. Of that 25% going to the offices, approximately 92% of those are resolved within about 12 days. So that's leaving a chunk still sitting out there of longer. And those are the ones, again, that I was talking about, underlying conditions, which remain the biggest challenge. So of those 60,000 applications I talked about, approximately 1,000 of those a year have to be referred to specialists. So if you think about 200 and some working days, about 5 files a day are going to regional offices that need some kind of investigation and follow-up. The majority of that 1,000 are generally a consult to one, what's called an AMRB specialist. So the construct of civil aviation medicine is they have 7 full-time physicians that work in the aviation field. They have 12 contracted physicians across the country that support on files as needed. And then they have 12 additional specialists, which comprise the AMRB, so the Aviation Medical Review Board. These are people with specialties, cardiovascular health, diabetes, various different things, obviously. Those people who are the basically on retainer with Transport Canada, this is the big challenge, because these people, I'm going to say, they've got their day jobs. So they're working at hospitals and settings across the country in medicine. So the problem is bringing them and finding their time to apply to review people's conditions. So this is where we see the biggest backlog on things. And typically, so 50 to 60 files go to the board per year. Of those files, 4 or 5 can be addressed per month. So this is where we're seeing the lengthening of time. What the director does tell us, for those of you that may find yourself in this situation, if you haven't gotten a no, it means they're trying to find a yes. So, but it's time. So that's the current state in medicals and licensing. Which brings us to the next one. So basic med, obviously big topic for our neighbors to the south. They really want to fly up here. The people, there's approximately 80,000 people now in the States licensed under basic med. All the evidence shows it's no less or no higher risk than having a category 3 medical and the rest, which is positive. The FAA Flight Surgeon General has been speaking with civil aviation medicine in support of the US people. Ourselves, as I said, I talk to the director a couple times a year. I push him every single time that I talk to him. And the big news as of 2 weeks ago is that within civil aviation medicine, the decision has been made to convert the category 4 medical into something like basic med in the States, which will have reciprocal, or hoping to have reciprocal recognition between countries. And that initial draft of changes within civil aviation medicine has been done from the medical side of Transport Canada. So that preliminary draft is now with the Greater Transport Canada for review to see where it hooks to other pieces of regulation and so on, and what else needs to be changed in the system to empower that. So that's a really positive step for us. It's one step, not to worry people about it, but it's still a long road. That's the first step. We still need the review. Once we have review, there will be a notice of proposed amendment. Actually, after the review, then it goes to the lawyers to write the regulatory part. Then it comes out as a notice of proposed amendment, which has consultation, which we will have the opportunity to talk to. That'll go back, it'll be drafted into a proposed regulatory change, which will come out as Canada Gazette 1, which again will have a consultation. We'll go back again, come out as Canada Gazette number 2, which then will become regulation. So while we're moving, we still got some road ahead of us. But really, really positive that they've done the draft, so really good thing. And then just on the side of what's happening in Canada, ICAO is still continuing also to look at a restricted medical category similar to basic med. There's a lot of discussions though about some countries' medical systems not being to the same level, so to use their civil medicine doctors to do assessments. There is some concern that, you know, I'm not going to pick a country, but let's say maybe an African country or an Asian country that might not have the same medical standards for training, that there's concerns at the ICAO level of how that works. So it's being considered, but it's probably a lot longer road than what we're talking about now in Canada. Next one. Constant speed propellers. So, oh no, I'm missing one here. Hang on here. I'm missing one. Copa Aviation, or is that coming up later, Hannah? It's on a later slide, okay. So I'm gonna have to go back in my notes then. Constant speed propellers continues to be something that our members reach out to us about. It isn't forgotten. For those of you not familiar, the constant speed propeller has a 10-year overhaul requirement on it, which means taking it off your plane, sending it to a shop, getting it torn apart, basically, overhauled, comes back on after a big check, put back in your plane, you go flying. So obviously increases maintenance costs for getting into aviation. Definitely creates barriers for people making a decision to go from or into a higher performance type aircraft. So there's definitely interest on our side to look at, you know, what options are available there. And again, we've had a number of members reach out and ask about the, you know, following the US type model, potentially something like an expect and repair as necessary type situation. So yes, we have that on our radar. Big barrier for us, just to keep expectations as what they are, is unfortunately, I guess, or fortunately, COPA was the driver for the 10-year overhaul versus the 5-year overhaul. So when we go to Transport Canada and ask for change, let's say we're not necessarily getting the ear that we want to have. So we continue to work on it. Certainly in the time I've been with COPA, I've asked a number of times, continually get, this is a low priority for us. You know, we're not going to do anything right now. We continue to lobby. Our last official stuff, basically, that came from Transport Canada in 2021 was a big hard no, we're not doing this right now, we'll talk about it in the future. So that's where we're at. That doesn't mean that we can't have the conversations. We're still going to look at it, and we continue to try to restart dialogue. With that, our intention, and this leads into one of the other things here, is we really need to reassess the issue. So we need to go back to you, the members, find out how many people are in this situation, get input, get ideas, see where we can go with it, determine our possible next steps, how to set our priorities, how to try and get transport into transport priorities, kick the door open, nudge the door open, whatever we can, and try and start the dialogue again. So we are working on it. Big thing, as I talked about earlier with our new transport minister, unfortunately, the person in charge of airworthiness is the same person that did the 10-year, and he is not really excited about restarting this conversation. So we continue to work on it. May take a change in basically leadership at the airworthiness level for us to be able to do it. But again, work in progress. I'll touch education curriculum really quickly. So we have had over the past few years a number of members reach out talking about how do we get obviously people interested in aviation, and one of the things that has always been there is how do we get it into schools. So there are a number of school boards in Canada that do an aviation program. There is no coordinated program in the country, obviously, that we can hand to school boards and so on to do things. AOPA in the US does have a program. I've had a number of discussions with my counterpart there about how they do it. We'd like to look at it. Again, this is probably going to lead into future priorities for the association. One big key about the AOPA is it's all been funded by donations from members to try and spur it. So we'll have to look at how we can maybe look at creating a broad national program. It's going to be a lot of work, but it is one of those streams that we can see for the future. And that really leads us to the final item here, which is the advocacy survey. So George and I will, over the course of the next few weeks, months maybe, be preparing a membership survey on advocacy topics, the ones that we see in the horizon, and a reach out to all of you to basically provide us with anything of your concerns that we might be considering as well. And then we'll take those away and we'll have a discussion about priority and how we do things. And that puts me into the final Aviation Academy. So with the Aviation Academy, the actual tool is up and running, for everybody to know. We got funding from the federal government. Tool is in place. Final wrap up of the program with public safety happens in September. So the actual learning management system is up and running. The material is available to you, the members, provided you sign up. If you're interested in it and haven't already, you can find online, or you can talk to George about how to sign up. Right now we have some general knowledge information there, also some recurrent training information and programs there. So please check it out. Our plan is to move more subject matter into it as we can moving forward. And then finally, the big one on this side of things is the safety seminars are back and running. We've done a number through the fall and into the spring this year. Our target is to do one at least every 2 months, probably a little break in the summer when everybody wants to actually be flying rather than doing recurrent training. And so we're preparing those regularly. George, again, is the lead on that. And as we have the opportunity, we're doing in-person ones. If anybody in COPA flights or so are looking to do recurrent training or presentations on safety, please reach out to us. We have content. We may be able to hook you up with content like speakers and those kind of things, depending on where you are, and we'd be more than happy to do it. That is my update. I've probably taken way too much time, but it's the hot topics for COPA. And I guess my next move is to introduce our new Director of Membership Services, Catherine Moore, who has been really working on trying to figure out some of the new membership stuff for you all. So, Catherine.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Jim. Hi, everybody. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly. I don't want to take up too much of your time. First off, I'd like to give, so I'm Catherine Moore. I'm Director of Member Services. Is this better? Sorry. I'm going to give some member statistics and demographics. Currently, we've got 10,450 active members. We have 107 student members, 1,163 first-term members, which means that these are our new members in the last year. They have not renewed yet. Our average renewal rate is 76%. This number seems low. The thing to factor in there is that we have a number of members who have a lifetime membership. We have a number of members who are on a 3-year membership. And that 76% is for this year, so for the 2025 fiscal year. So while the number may seem low, it's not a number that we're hyper concerned about at this point. We're going to we look at this number and this data regularly to see what the trends are. The average length of a COPA membership is about 15 years, and we currently have 164 active COPA flights across the country. So I want to talk about the trend of membership over the years, and I need to preface this with the Transport Canada number of PPLs that are in force. You can see from this slide that an all-time high was 2007, and then there is a decline, 2018 being the last data that Transport Canada has published, and it's a fairly low number, just over 22,000 active PPLs in force. So when we compare that against COPA's membership to date, again, it's a downward arc. However, when you overlay this information, you can see that there's certainly a correlation between our numbers and Transport Canada's numbers. We are hopeful, of course, Transport Canada will bring up to date this data so that we can see how their trend compares since 2018. There's just a few things to bear in mind when we look at both Transport Canada and COPA's numbers to date. We've got 2008 in there, the infamous 2008 economic fallout had a big impact in all kinds of industries. COVID, of course, plays a part in this, not so much in Transport Canada's numbers, but in COPA's numbers for sure. Obtaining PPLs during COVID was a more difficult process. More obstacles were in place. So our role in member services really is to continue to track this, to work with this, to sort of see what the trends are and what we can do to improve on this. So we sent out recently a member survey to all COPA members. I want to thank all of you who responded to it. For those of you who didn't get a chance to, this will be a regular occurrence. We will be surveying the members on a regular basis, sort of every year and ultimately with your renewal. It's very important that you take that opportunity to provide your feedback. The survey includes things like how satisfied are you with your membership, what types of member benefits are you actively using, not actively using, which ones would you like to see us incorporate into your COPA membership, and which ones maybe you would like to see replaced with something else. We also surveyed to get some feedback on what areas of advocacy you'd like us to be working on, what areas of maybe professional development you'd like us to be working on, and how satisfied were you with our communications. So overall, this is a very small snapshot of what the survey provided to us. So 74% of our members indicate they've been flying for more than 20 years, which is quite remarkable. 68% of our members are satisfied with their membership. There was another 14% that were very satisfied with their COPA membership. Having worked in membership associations for the last 20 years, these are fairly good, positive feedback results. And in terms of our member benefits, these are the top 3. There's a long list that we will ultimately share more granulated data with the members, but the COPA Flight Magazine, of course, is a top contender. The insurance offerings, which you're going to hear about next, and access to safety seminars and other seminars from COPA. Those are among the top 3 member benefits that COPA members appreciate. So we have some priorities in member services. The first one being customer service. Maybe some of you have tried to connect with the office, and it's been challenging to get in touch with a person, to get through to a person. We have a dedicated frontline staff person now, Sophia Chiboka. Between she and I, we are on the phones. We are responding to your emails. We are dedicated. Sophia it's her personal mission in life to get back to you and to speak with you in whatever, on the phone or via email, whatever way you would like. The member portal is another area that we have heard your frustrations with. We are working to improve that, to make it more intuitive, to improve the integrity of it, to make it essentially easier to work with and something that's more useful to you as a member. The next priority for us is our member communications. We want them to be strategic, and by strategic, they will be centered around the 3 R's of association management: recruiting, retaining, and renewing our members. We want to modernize our membership communications, paid, earned, shared, and owned forms of communication. We're going to focus on those more equally across the board. And we want our membership communications to be more inclusive and to be bilingual. I am a native Quebecoise. I'm from the province of Quebec. I grew up speaking French. It's important that all of our members share the same member experience regardless of their first language. And finally, we want to increase our member offerings. We want to strengthen and leverage our relationships with COPA flights and chapters, and we want to increase and improve upon our member seminars and events. I want to take a quick second to recognize our members. So we have 5 active members that have been with us since 1952. I'm going to take a second to name them: Steve Asali, Joseph Angelo, William G. Ebert, Charles Slauenweit, and Herbert Ant. So those 5 gentlemen have been with us since 1952, and I think it's quite remarkable that they continue to renew their membership. They continue to support COPA. We have 440 other members. I won't name all of those that have been with us for more than 50 years, and then over 7,000, nearly 8,000 members that have been with us for 25 years or more. So it is quite, we have a good, dedicated, loyal membership overall. I told you I would be quick, and I was. So I think we're out of time. We're running low on time, so we won't take questions. But I'm here all afternoon. If you have questions, online and whatnot, happy to answer them at any time. And so with that, I would like to introduce Ashlyn, who will talk to you about the insurance program.
Insurance. I beseech you to please not fall into a coma for the next 10 minutes. Stay with me. I understand insurance is pretty boring, and it's not something we spend a whole lot of time thinking about. But in the case of aviation insurance, it's a do or die, it's a make or break. If we don't have it, we don't fly, and it's as simple as that. And a lot of people a lot of our fellow pilots have struggled to get affordable insurance, and so continue to participate in the passion that we love. My name's Ashlyn Dale. I'm a director from Ontario. I'm also the Eastern Vice Chair and the chairman for the Insurance Task Force. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about COPA's new insurance program. It's called the Aviators Canada Insurance Program. I want to tell you a bit about how it came to be and what it's about. So, what was the problem? Why were we looking for new insurance? Because what we had was stodgy, desiccated, inflexible, expensive, or completely not accessible at all. We were hearing from people that they were not able to get insurance, so the insurance that they were offered was wildly expensive, or that the deductibles were off the charts, or the amount of coverage that they were getting was inadequate. Many people in GA were not getting quoted at all. There was just refusals to quote. That was if they could even get in touch with somebody in insurance aviation, brokers not calling back. And I can tell you from personal experience, when you get a new aircraft and you're looking forward to being able to fly and you're asking to get insurance and you hear crickets for 2 weeks and you follow up and follow up and follow up, and then you simply get, we refuse to quote. That hit home. I'd like to be able to go out and take my new toy and go fly, and I can't. And this wasn't just happening once or twice, this was happening for a lot of people. And so we were asking ourselves, why does this have to be? I thought, it doesn't have to be like this. So I joined the board, it was 3 years ago now, I've been going into my 4th year, and it was very much with a view, I'd like to tackle this insurance problem. And so what we did is we struck the Insurance Task Force, and it's been a work in progress for over two and a half years. And the very first thing that we did is we started with what we called an insurance wish list. 10 pages of what we as aviators would like to see in an insurance program. And if you think about it, because I did a lot, I'm not from the insurance world, right? So this was all a bit of a new thing. But you realize that the insurance programs in aviation were designed by suits They weren't designed by aviators. And so it's like, all right, let's step back. We're the aviators. We know what we need. We know what we want. So let's start with a wish list. And 10 pages later, with some of the highlights, but there, as I say, 10 pages, but some of the highlights. Coverage, regardless of your age, what you fly, or your experience. The deal should be this: are you a safe pilot or not safe pilot? And there shouldn't be discrimination on the basis of age or, oh, you've only been flying for a year. One insurance company that works with you and helps you in your journey, whether you're at the beginning of the journey or at the end of your aviation journey. The other thing that we wanted was variable deductibles. And here's something that not a lot of people understand about deductibles. They don't think about deductibles. But if you have a $100 deductible or a $10,000 deductible, that changes your risk profile, but it also really changes your premium. People don't understand that. But it can make all the difference between, is that premium affordable or is it the right fit for you? Some people don't want to take any risk. I'll take the $100 deductible. I'm not saying it's necessarily $100, but low. And some people say, I'm really good with the risk. I'll take a $20,000 deductible and a smaller premium. Well, that should be the aviator that gets to participate in that decision, not just the insurance company. Another thing that we really wanted to see was higher available coverage limits, both for hull and for liability. We're seeing a lot of really low limits, like $1 million, right? And there are a lot of aircraft that are worth more than that, and people want liability coverages in excess of that. And it's not that you have to get it, but it should be there if you want to get it. You can craft an insurance policy that suits your particular desires. More plan types, more plan choices. And then more credit for safe piloting practices. If you are the type of person that spends time getting recurrency training, getting checkouts, there should be some acknowledgement of your efforts to be a safe pilot. So we did something that was a total first. We ushered the suits out of the room and we said, we are the aviators. We are going to define what we want to see in aviation insurance. This is a pretty novel concept in Canada. In fact, it's a first. So how did we start going down that road? Well, after we created our wish list, then we started to look at who do we want to partner with. We needed to pick a good underwriter, and we needed to pick a good broker. We went with Global as our chosen primary underwriter, not our only underwriter, but our chosen primary underwriter. They're the largest and most experienced aviation insurer in an underwriter. And Covalent, they have a deep experience in aviation insurance, not just normal insurance, but aviation insurance. But more importantly, they were open to new ideas and supportive of general aviation, because here we are as aviators going into the aviation world with a bunch of suits saying, no, this is how we'd like it to be. And not everybody is as open-minded about new as others, and Covalent was. And one of the other important factors was definitely a star agent who's sitting at the back of the room right now is Caleb, and you'll be able to speak with Caleb for the rest of the day. But he's a phenomenal dynamo of, aviation insurance passion, and just a real asset to join forces with us. So here was a really refreshing change. So the experience was before our previous broker and many other aviation brokers out there, you speak with agents who have no aviation understanding. They wouldn't know a 172 from a pit. They don't know the difference. And what they would often do, or will often do, is simply deny coverage because they don't understand the nuances, they don't understand the differences, and they don't understand the passion, and they're not going to fight for you because it doesn't matter to them. But when you deal with somebody who understands aviation, they're going to fight for you because they understand that when you take the ability for somebody to take to the skies, that's personal. And you need to be dealing with people where they understand and they're as passionate about aviation as us. Another refreshing change, they answer the phone. They respond to emails. You can get a quote back pretty much like that under most circumstances. So they're fighting for you, quick to respond, understand your needs, know what you're flying, care what you're flying, and they're going to be there to support you in your journey. So this spring in April, we launched Aviators Insurance program, and we have, I'm really thrilled to say, achieved what we had set out to do. And we're really seeing the fruits of the labor of our labors and our wishes on that. And we're getting the better coverage. We've got variable deductibles. We've got more plan choices. We've got the ability for you to choose higher limits on liability on home. And people aren't getting refused. Caleb and his team are working to find an insurance solution for everybody who walks through the door. It's amazing, and it's a game changer. So what we're seeing is people now, and we're getting the feedback, and it's only been a couple of months, people are now able to access coverage they weren't able to get before. They're thrilled that they're finally getting the level of coverage. Like, some people weren't able to get insurance before. Some people are getting coverage at a higher limit because they were just barely insured. There's a lot of reports of much more reasonable premiums and better coverage at the same time. And all are enjoying the experience. We are continually hearing feedback that the team is responsive and pleasant to deal with, professional to deal with. So, as I sit here and talk to you, I'm sure that some of you have insurance with your existing brokers, and you're saying, and it might even be Magnus, who was our previous broker partner. They're now called Access. And you're probably saying, yeah, I've got insurance and I'm good and I've been happy. And that's great, and I'm happy that you've been able to gain access to insurance and you've been successful in that. But I'd like to ask you to just keep an open mind about the new program, because COPA's ACIP program is a game changer. Because what we're aiming to do is insure everyone and not just permit the lucky few to gain affordable access to insurance. So when it's time for you to renew, or even beforehand, I still encourage you to reach out to Caleb and to his team and explore your options. And it's not going to cost you anything. It's not like there's a fee for getting a quote. But when you compare the apples to apples, I'm pretty sure you're going to come out and say, yeah, that's the way to go. And as I say, it's a really pleasant experience too, because, they're pilots and they get it. It's interesting, I've just heard from Jim, we all just heard from Jim, on the countless threats that there are to our way of life, to flying. The reality is the number of pilots, private pilots, is dropping. The reality is that our airports are under threat, existential threat, because of noise complaints and municipalities that don't understand the importance of having an airport in the community. Or they see dollar signs and we could sell the airport and turn it into a golf course or a condo or something. We have denial of service challenges. There are costs, added regulatory costs, and all of those things. We have so many challenges that are gnawing away and chipping away at our ability to take to the skies. Insurance should not be one of the things that's impeding us from gaining access to flying. And in that sense, I'm very proud to say I believe that COPA's Aviators Canada Insurance Program is going to take that impediment off the table. And, it was designed, it's the only thing that's ever been designed by Canadian aviators, by aviators in Canada, and it's different by design. So, as I say, I encourage you to reach out to Caleb when the times come for you to get insurance. And actually, if you probably all have questions, there's so many different questions on specific insurance situations and stuff like that. Caleb will be having a little seminar at some point, I think after lunch. And I encourage you to attend that and feel free to field questions to him between then or at the seminar itself. And I'm around, feel free to ask me any questions as well. All right, thank you very much.
Caleb, stand.
Thank you, Ashlyn. You somehow managed to make insurance interesting. I did not fall asleep, so thank you. So everyone promised a very quick update. I'll be the quickest, I promise you that. Good afternoon or good morning. My name is Hanna, so I'm taking care of the communications function at COPA right now. Communications manager and acting as director of marketing and communications. A lot has been already said about COPA's efforts and initiatives throughout the year and plans for the upcoming year. So with our communications function, really the promise or the goal here is to keep our membership connecting, to keep COPA connected with the membership, and to keep members connected with each other. So to that end, you would have noticed with the latest COPA flight, we've gotten a bit of a refreshed look and feel for the magazine. The Voyager issue, which is the issue for May and June, just was recently released, issued 1 or 2 days ago online. And for anyone who is getting the physical copy, you would be getting that in your mailbox hopefully soon. So this is a continued effort of our promise to keep COPA's Flight Magazine really a journal of the association that is for the members and by the members. So we really do continue welcoming any inputs, any stories that you have from your local flying communities. We do welcome those stories into the magazine. With the magazine, as with all of our other communications efforts, we do have an objective to bring in more and more bilingual content, just to make sure that all of COPA's membership really sees itself in the association and in the communications of the association. In terms of other updates from the communications team, we just recently launched COPA's new podcast, In-Flight Podcast. Episode 3 just came online a few days ago, and that's an interview done by George with aerobatic pilot Kyle Fowler that was recorded last year at Oshkosh. Interesting content for the first 3 episodes and more episodes to come. I wouldn't promise, but we are aiming for an average of about 1 new episode per month where we bring in stories from the aviation community and put them in a way so if you are interested, you will find those episodes. Either you can view them on YouTube or you can listen to them on Spotify. Really, Catherine has already touched on a point of making sure that we keep member engagement up, so that will happen through our communication channels as well as more events, both in-person and virtual events. Really more and more touch points to get our membership connected, no matter if in person or wherever they are. You will be seeing some of us, the COPA team, at various air shows across Canada. Air Show Atlantic is happening next week or next weekend in Summerside, PEI. Catherine is going to be there at that air show. And we've got Aero Gatineau in Quebec later on in the flying season. Again, more and more ways to bring pilots together, because we know that part of it is about flying, but also part of it is about community and just building and making those friendships. Lastly, I will mention that we will continue our efforts to bring in more tools and improve the tools that we have for our COPA flight leaders. Catherine had mentioned that we have about 160 active COPA flights across Canada, and we will continue our efforts to basically bring those leaders the necessary tools and resources to continue with the grassroots efforts that they have to make sure that we as COPA continue to live up to our mission to preserve, promote, and inspire general aviation in Canada. That was my very quick update, and with that, I'm just going to invite board member Sigmund Sword. So he will be announcing this year's scholarship and COPA volunteer awards for the recipients. So we will be announcing those recipients today, and then communications will follow in the future for our award and scholarship recipients. Thank you so much.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2025 AGM. I'm your BC Yukon Director, Sigmund Bering-Sort, and I'm Western Vice Chair. And it's my honor and privilege today to announce some of the award recipients for this year. Just be aware that there are a number of awards that are still in progress, and those will be announced through our social media and our magazines in due course. One of the things that really excites me about general aviation in Canada, and I'm settling into my 4th year now on the board, is the number of amazing stories that I get to meet and greet at various COPA gatherings and COPA flights. And one of the things that I implore people to do at every appearance is to ask them to consider sharing their aviation journey with COPA, to share their aviation contributions with COPA National, because I dare say there are a number of awards that are sitting in various COPA flight coffee houses that aren't being heard from, and thus we don't get to know about those gems. We don't get to consider and recognize those contributions to general aviation in Canada. So if you're a little bit shy, you might hint to your buddy at the next coffee gathering that you maybe wouldn't mind an interview or a note being sent to COPA National, because just maybe when you had that bird strike and then you shared it with young ones coming through, and that led to some ongoing activity that you contributed to general aviation to make the way forward safer and more knowledgeable for others. And the amount of time and energy that that story then led to is only known to the contacts of that individual, but not with the national audience. So please, consider being less shy. Please consider poking the person near you at coffee who has an amazing story that should be known to the greater membership of COPA. Thank you. Thus far, the award that we have up, first off, is the John Bogie Memorial Award. As you can see from the slide, it's going to Ron Victor of Spruce Grove, Alberta. Nominated for showing passion, generosity, and commitment to community building in his local GA community, Ron is a dual-rated pilot, commercial helicopter and PPL fixed wing, actively contributes to Alberta's general aviation community, volunteers at Discover Aviation Days, and offers charity flights to sick children. How selfless is that? Behavioral markers. Well done, Ron. Ron advances general aviation by example, promoting it through outreach and charity and preserving the freedom to fly by fostering a thriving and inclusive aviation community. Hear, hear. Last year, you might have been around to hear COPA announce the rebirth of awareness of Margaret Carson and her being part of the founding of COPA back in the day. And so we've changed that name from the President's Award to the Margaret Carson Award. And this year's recipient is Lynn Davis, and she's been a member since 2007. Nominated for lifelong contributions to general aviation, with a diverse and sustained career in instrument technologist to airline captain and now aviation technologist and mentor, Lynn embodies the deep-rooted commitment to advancing general aviation in Canada. With over 4 decades in the industry, Lynn continues to lead and innovate at grassroots level as president of the Bancroft Flying Club, where she has served since 2006. Congratulations to Margaret Carson. Chair's Award recipient this year, Bill Carswell, nominated for his displaying values of dedication, mentorship, and leadership that define COPA's mission. From his early days of flying tactical helicopters in the Royal Canadian Air Force to retiring as a senior airline pilot, Bill has carried his passion for aviation into his retirement through steadfast involvement in general aviation and in the general aviation community. His lasting impact is perhaps best captured by his role as mentor, most notably guiding Emile Perrin to earn the Neil J. Armstrong Scholarship, and her private pilot license is a testament to his dedication to future generations of aviators. He also serves on COPA's Scholarship Selection Committee, continuing his contributions at the national level. Congratulations to Bill Carswell. This year's Editor's Award recipient is Paul Tomaszczyk. And Paul, are you here? And I apologize if I mispronounce your last name. He's been a member since 1997. The COPA National Team proposes Paul as for this award and the many contributions to the COPA Flight magazine, which, as we know, has been going through an evolutionary process in recent years, and looks like it's finally settling into a very stable production. So we need more people like Paul. Congratulations. About a year or so ago, I asked the national team to consider new awards around flight instruction. And one of the things that drove me to bring that to the national level was my own career and my exposure to the Air Cadet flying program, the gliding program, private license training. Being a private flight instructor, being a chief flight instructor at various schools, training military pilots at 3 Canadian forces, preparing the next gen. I wanted the next generation to start to have a voice from a very early time in their aviation journey, and I asked COPA National to create an award that would have them more involved right out of the gate. It is my honor to announce that the Flight Instructor of the Year award, one goes to Christopher Mancala. And this flight instructor and Transport Canada safety inspector has a proven track record of dedication to aviation safety and community. It's demonstrated the qualities of outstanding flight instruction through his exceptional dedication, patience, and genuine care for his students' well-being and success. Beyond technical instruction, Chris prioritizes mental and physical health, ensuring students are truly prepared before advancing. Congratulations to Paul. Or sorry, to Christopher. Next up is Flight Instructor of the Year award goes to Harmeet Garag, who is here. Harmeet, if you could make your way to the podium, please, and come stand beside me. Harmeet exemplifies excellence in flight instruction through his dedication, professionalism, and personalized teaching approach. Harmeet's innovative training methods and advocacy for accessible aviation education, including his role in scholarship fundraising, foster a safer and more inclusive future for generations. Harmeet, I can't say enough about your role you play in lighting the fire and fanning the flames of general aviation in Canada. I'm glad that you have these behavioral markers, and we're proud to honor those today. Congratulations. He'll receive his hardware at a later date. And finally, the Flight Training School of the Year goes out to Sealand Aviation. John and Nancy Marshall are incredible aviation enthusiasts. They're well known in British Columbia, of course. And I almost find a conflict of interest in this, but I wasn't terribly involved in this one, so it's okay. But Nancy's mom lived next door to me in Qualicum Beach on Vancouver Island, and I got to know Nancy and her husband a long time ago, and it was more through being neighbors than sharing aviation, and eventually that was quickly discovered and shared. But what an exciting time it is for Sealand Aviation. There was a cartoon image on social media a few years back when one of the aviation floatplane companies, I forget who they were, somebody correct me here, they had the first electric float plane fly out of YVR, Harbor Air, there it is. And there was a picture of the Harbor Air beaver climbing off the river by YVR with a long extension cord. You may have seen it. And you can fly as far as the extension cord will let you. Well, now they have an airplane that doesn't need an extension cord. Of course, they didn't either. But I got to sit in it. I've got to see it. I haven't got to fly it yet. But it's a little Pistrel, I think, from Europe. And it's about a 5-hour battery life on it. So it's really for short training flights only. But it's a beginning. Sealand Aviation has been a leader in innovation and community engagement on Vancouver Island as Canada's first flight school to offer training on electric airplanes. They are pioneering sustainable aviation while providing high-quality training in land planes, seaplanes, and electric planes, or E-planes now so-called. Their strong community involvement includes sponsoring youth membership programs like Teen Flight, and hosting popular events such as Wings and Wheels at the Campbell River Airport on Vancouver Island. They've long inspired the next generation of aviators. And if you haven't been to Wings and Wheels yet, it's worth a flight to Vancouver Island and spend the day there. Maybe spend a weekend, play some golf. There's a lot of golf courses on Vancouver Island. You can pop down to Qualicum Beach, more golf courses, a lot of airplanes, and a really good restaurant. And I hope you get to meet Sealand Aviation and what they're doing. They have flight schools now in Nanaimo as well as Qualicum and Campbell River. They're a real incredible company. So congratulations to Sealand Aviation. That concludes my presentation, so I'm going to turn it back now to our Secretary, Grant Bailey. Thanks so much.
Okay, we're going to move on to the business portion of our meeting. But before we do, I think I failed to mention there is a barbecue following this. It's down at the Vernon Flying Club, again graciously hosted by the Vernon Flying Club. And then at 2 o'clock, there is the option of the insurance seminar or the tour in Kelowna. I think the tour is sold out or fully booked. So The other option, if you weren't able to register for that, is the insurance seminar. We don't have a lot of time left, so I'll try and move through the business fairly quickly. The notice of meeting went out on May 30th, properly went out. It went out by emails to all members, also on social media and e-flight issues. Along with that notice of meeting was access to the documents that are required for the business of the annual general meeting that everybody could access online. I'm assuming that people have reviewed the documents. I can confirm that we have a quorum. We had 92 registrants. I don't think there is 92 that showed up today, but we also received 180 proxies, registered proxies. So we easily have a quorum. With the proxies were all of the voting instructions for the resolutions, and we have tallied up all of those counts for the members' wishes in terms of voting. For voting, those present can raise their voting cards in their right hand when asked. There is no option for voting for the online members. Again, for those who couldn't attend, the option was through proxy. I'd ask everybody to turn in their voting cards when the meeting is adjourns here, and we'll move on to the agenda. So this is the agenda. Basically, we're going to transact the business of COPA that we have to do in the annual general meeting. Doug is going to introduce the directors, and then from there we'll have some general business, if there is any, adjournment, and we do hope to have a short question and answer period. So, in terms of the agenda, I'll make a motion that we approve this agenda. Can I have somebody second that motion? Steve Wilcox. Any discussion? All in favor? And with the proxies, that one is obviously passed. I'll now turn the meeting over to Doug to introduce the directors.
Welcome to the business portion of the meeting. We have obviously me, I'm the chair and Southern Ontario director. And I'd ask the directors to maybe stand up just so we can identify the ones that are here. So Ashland Dale is the Eastern Vice Chair and Southern Ontario Director. Sigmund Stort is the Western Vice Chair for BC and Yukon as well. And Grant Bailey is our Secretary. And Pierre Drapeau is the Treasurer and one of our Quebec Directors. Warwick Patterson is a Director at Large for BC and Yukon, and Robert Japp is the Director at Large for BC and Yukon as well. Becky Dewick is a Director at Large for Manitoba and Nunavut, and Stephen Wilcox is Director at Large for Southern Ontario. Jonathan Bouchain is Director at Large for Quebec. He's not here today. And Stephen McCarthy is Director at Large for the Maritimes, and Robert Hammond is also for the Maritimes. And that's our 2025 Board of Directors.
Thanks, Doug. We'll now move to the Treasurer and Auditor's report. And so I'll ask Pierre. Pierre? Pierre is our treasurer, and he'll go through the finance.
Bonjour à tous. Pierre Drapeau. I'm the Quebec Regional Director and also Treasurer for COPA, and also Chairman of the Finance and Audit Committee. So in that capacity, While usually it would be the auditor or the CFO to present the financial audited statement, this time I had to be the replacement, like the out-of-stand goalie that comes down to perform, so bear with me. So what is the Finance and Audit Committee? What does it do? So we're not accountant, we are more monitoring the situation and responsible for the oversight of the financial situation of COPA. That includes final reporting, internal control, regularity, compliance, investment policies, risk management, the manner in which management ensures and monitors the adequacy of control, and recommendation of the external auditor. We'll do that later on. That was the statements from our financial statements from the auditor. It's plain language for auditors. They do that to confirm that our financial positions are in accordance with the law. And that's where they would say if we have any problems with our statements, and they do not, so they approve the statements according to the Canadian standards for the non-profit organizations. So you thought insurance was boring? Here I am. First slide is the balance sheet for the position. So that's how much we have, where we have it. So basically, we have to keep some cash in order to finance our activities. No short-term investment this year, but we might have some next year because we shuffled things a couple of years ago, and we might go back to a previous way of doing things. Accounts receivable, that explains from itself. So current asset is 631,001. That's the apart from the investment. Down below, you'll have the investment, long-term investments. That's where we put our money and we get our capital gains from. So total assets would be 3,108,081. Sorry. So this is the balance sheets for our liabilities and net assets. Pretty straightforward. No surprises there. You can see that the deferred membership columns is a bit lower than last year. That's because we are getting rid of the 3 years membership. So along the line, that number will go down to about 0. Net assets, so you see we have an internally restricted general reserve. That's just in case we go out of business. We have to provide money for our employees and our contracts and everything. So the board of directors voted to increase that this year to $1,750,000, which is what it was like that back in 2017. We decided to go back to that amount to cover for the expenses of the association in case of we go under. I can take a few questions, but not too much because, yep. Okay, that's an easy one for me. Okay, deferred membership is that people took 3 years membership, so you cannot have the amount only in that year. You have to defer it for 3 years. So it's an accounting nightmare. So that's basically why we got rid of it. We have even had some membership, lifetime membership, that we had to do the same thing. If I recollect right, it's you had to do that over 10 years, spread the amount over 10 years. So we're getting rid of all those nightmares. Okay. So right now we have unrestricted reserve of 833,655. That's the board again voted on a resolution to top that off at $500,000. So we'll go back to, as I said before, short-term investment to have cash money available when something happens that wasn't planned. And revenue and expense for this year. So membership is down from last year, partly due to the loss of some members. We have the search and rescue initiative funds. That's a big amount, but that will die down there. We have one more check to receive from the government for 2025, but after that, we're on our own on that revenue there. Management fee, event fees, that's kind of generic. And now expenses, how we spend our money. So salaries and benefits are way up there because they provide the service for the association, so that's where the main money is. Publishing, it's up a bit. It could be up a bit more because we've moved to a digital and print, and that may incur some costs we haven't planned yet. So Marcia will be dealing with that problematic, and we'll try to get that number down as much as possible. Office rent, well, as all of you know, we have now an office in Ottawa that we rent, a brand new one, and you'll see that some fees have gone down because of services are included in that rent. So they include the internet and things like that. I was going to point out something there. The bank and service fees that went down. That's our ex-CEO who did something about our credit card fees to reduce them because we were paying way too much money on that. So that was addressed last year, and that's where you see the reduction there in spending. As you see, SARNIF, which is where we get our money, the 298 on the last slide, we have to pay to provide that service, like producing videos and things like that. So this is should be in red. We operating deficit for the second year in a row, but have been accumulating operating deficits. We got investment income that are not yet cashed that make that deficit less apparent, but it's not cash money yet. So we're doing great on the investment side that provides for the operating deficit, but that will also have to be addressed. So this is the motion to approve the financial audited statement as presented by me. Oh, I need a seconder. Do I get? I get one there. I get Ashlyn as a seconder.
Any discussion? Yes, sir. How come?
Yeah. Well, what you have to keep in mind is that we didn't staff most of the position since the COVID episode. So we lost lots of people. Jim is our senior personnel. He's been there for 3.5 years. And we've been trying to hire some people to fill position, and we had the real problem. We had a good turnaround, and that's why you see some people lasted for 6 months, so we didn't pay them back in 2023, the whole full year. But starting at 2024, we have a full complement of personnel. So you'll see that number increase a bit more because of CPI and things like that. So maybe next year we'll reach 1 million as far as the wage and benefit goes. So that's the main explanation.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Passed.
I do it? Okay. Second motion will be to appoint the auditor for next year. Talking about our actual group, which is Frouin Group, they have been with us for lots of years. They provide a good service. And we had a little problem this year, but within a few emails and a phone call, that was settled within a week. So, which is exceptional in the auditing field. So they are doing a good job. So we'll, do I do this one also? Motion to appoint the Frouin Group Professional Corporation as the public accountant and auditor of the corporation to hold office until the close of the next annual meeting of the members at the remuneration to be fixed by the directors being hereby authorized to fix such remunerations. So the board of directors will decide how much we pay those group if the motion passes. Anyone?
Any discussion? Yes, go ahead.
That would be it, yeah.
Sigmund seconding the motion. All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
And I'm out of here.
Thank you, Pierre. Okay, 2025 is not an election year. However, we did have 2 vacancies to fill, and they were vacancies that had more than 2 years left in the term. So we are required to do an election if by our policies if the vacancy exceeds 2 years. So we did do an election. The election is all explained in the nominating committee report, which was part of the documents that were made available to everybody. But I'm pleased to announce that that Dave McLean was elected to represent Alberta and the Northwest Territories. Dave, maybe you can stand up. And Cassia Clark was elected for Saskatchewan and Nunavut. Cassia. And there's a little bit about Dave, and I'm going to move quickly here because we're really running short of time, and Cassia. So I will make a motion to ratify the following persons as elected directors of the corporation until such persons cease to hold office pursuant to the Canada Not-for-Profit Corporations Act. Dave McLean to represent the Alberta and Northwest Territories region. Cassia Clark to represent the Saskatchewan region. Any discussion? Oh, yes, a seconder, please. Ashlyn, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passed. That basically brings us to the end of our business. Is there any general business that anybody wants to raise? I think everybody's looking forward to hamburgers. Yes, sir. Okay, well, the name change, I don't know if Doug, if you want to handle this one, or, I mean,
So I would agree as far as the fact that it is somewhat the elephant in the room. And we did listen to the response, and just so everybody knows, the response was not all negative. We got a lot of positive response. The unfortunate part, or just the facts, are that the negative response was a lot louder than the positive response. But we are listening 100%, and that's why I personally withdrew the motion to have at this meeting, so that we can talk about it more with the members and make it a member decision as well as a board decision, which is the way it was set up. But unfortunately, we're sort of tight on time, and it obviously sort of caught some people by surprise. But it is our intention to continue the discussion, but we're going to do that over a period of time and not in the confined space that we were in. So again, to answer your question, we definitely are listening, and we definitely want to have the conversation, but we're going to make it a more lengthy conversation in order to have everybody have their say. So, does that answer your question?
Okay. Yeah, that went by quickly. This came up back in the Kelowna annual general meeting, which I think was somewhere around 8 years ago. And I'm perfectly aware that we need to encourage younger people to join the organization. That's important. But I thought back to what made me join this in 1982. At that time, I was a pilot. I held a commercial pilot license, but my dollars were going into the fact that I'd recently bought a home, was contemplating seriously getting married shortly thereafter, which I did, and I'm still married to the same wife who has tolerated me going to the airport a lot. But what made me join COPA was the fact that it was the voice of general aviation in Canada, and I think that that is still the case. COPA is a very recognized brand. When people talk about COPA, they know what it is. We need to be very careful about not losing that recognition. I did comment, I think, at the Kelowna that it was rapidly becoming the Canadian Old Pilots Association. But the fact is that COPA, even if you just use that word, is synonymous with general aviation in Canada. We need to recognize that and publicize the fact that it is the voice for general aviation in Canada. It still has a great deal of value. We need to encourage our young people to join, but I can tell you, because I'm a Class 1 instructor at Calgary Flying Club, our students are carrying big debt loads. They're headed for the airlines. They are not interested they haven't recognized the value yet that COPA provides to general aviation in Canada, because they're trying to get through the next course, the next rating, getting an instructor rating, getting enough time that they can go and apply to the airlines. It's still a problem, but let's not discard that really important and relevant brand we've got.
Yep.
Thank you.
I would agree. Thank you. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Yeah.
For this, and I'm having a lot of emails from this. And I'm just wondering, are there any board members that have a direct business relationship and connection with this insurance company?
No, absolutely not. The insurance task force, which I'm on and Ashland's on as well, has spent literally 2.5 years and hundreds of hours of our own personal time, not getting paid, coming up with, as she was pointing out, the insurance wish list, which was a 10-page document. Then we went to numerous brokers, trying to find a broker. Then once we found a broker, we went to numerous underwriters. Like, I think we interviewed 8 or 10 underwriters. And so it was unbelievably time consuming. So, and as far as us being involved in any way, shape, or form in the monetary side of that, we're definitely not, because it's just a COPA program. So it's there's no gain to any of us. It's been a giant amount of our personal time in order to do it. So.
Yeah, and the other thing, there was something that I didn't talk about too. Another place where we spent a great deal of time, aside from creating the program in the first place, was in crafting the agreement and the understandings with our broker and with our underwriter, and crystallizing those in plain language, but in a contract, so that we can hold them to account today, tomorrow, next year, to provide the service levels that we expect of them. But to echo Doug's comments, far from benefiting personally from the insurance program, it has been nothing but literally hundreds of hours of personal time volunteered in order to make that program a reality. So quite the opposite of actually personal gain. It's been a personal cost. But as I say, I think this is something that's going to be to the benefit of not just existing COPA members, but a whole bunch of aviators out there across Canada that are not yet members of COPA. They're going to benefit from it, and they're going to come to COPA because of this.
Yeah, we've actually had some people send emails. Like, I get a lot of emails as the chair, just generally about anything to do with COPA. Somebody has something good or bad to say, I hear about it. And we've had people say that they were not members of COPA, and they looked into the insurance program, and they talked to Caleb and his team, and they got such a favorable response that they have become members of COPA because of the insurance program. So as Ashton says, we put all this time into it, and not for us, but for all of you, for the industry, and for, like, my son is a pilot, and I'm hoping my grandson will be a pilot. It's all the time I put 20 plus years into COPA as on the board of directors, and been involved with COPA for 40 years. So all of that is not necessarily for me, it's for all of you, and it's for your kids and your grandkids, and for the people that work for me. I work in the industry, I have a maintenance shop. So it's for everybody right across the board, from the person that comes here on a fam flight, goes for his or her first airplane ride, to the person who's a captain on a big jet. It's for all of them, because none of that will exist without our sector of aviation. And if, as Ashton pointed out, we cannot have a viable general aviation industry without a viable insurance program. And we have not had that. It's always been a mismatch of just mediocrity. So now we have an unbelievably well thought out, well planned out, and well staffed, and great partners. So I'm personally really proud of the insurance program, because it really is that good. And so we will stand behind it, and that's why we're promoting it. We're promoting it on behalf of the organization and the industry. So it's going to be good. So.
Southern Ontario, I very seldom need a microphone. There you go. It's worth noting, because you didn't mention that, was one of the things that they did at the office. So spent a lot of time with members calling and saying, I can't get insurance. I just turned 70, they won't insure me. I've just got a home-built airplane, which of course is widespread. I can't get insurance. So it was really born out of that need. And again, thank you, Ashton, thank you, Doug, and the rest of the team for all of the hours they spent on that, because I want to fly, my son flies, grandkids, all that's good stuff to fly, so we need to have, as you said, a viable program that can support us. Rising costs, we need to remove barriers as much as we can, and that was a big barrier for us, so hats off to you guys, and thanks, that's all I want to say.
Anyone else?
You do not have to be a COPA member to get the insurance.
Yes, you do have to be a COPA member to get the insurance. But if you get the top tier, like full coverage, the Covalent will actually pay your COPA membership. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Caleb can answer the question.
Just because everybody's hungry, I'll be really quick. So with regards to the full package, yes, they'll credit you for your COPA membership on there, but you don't have to be a COPA member to actually get a quote. So you can get a quote, and if the coverage is not good enough or you're not happy with it, you don't actually have to become a COPA membership. But one of the biggest reasons why Doug chose our firm is that maybe the main insurance company isn't necessarily the best one for that type of aircraft that you have. Maybe it's a Vans RV3 or it's a Pit Special or whatever the case is. We have the expertise to find another market that actually likes that airplane, so that basically if you're willing to either pay the deductible or do the pilot training or whatever the case is, we will be able to get you a policy for your aircraft.
Hi there, Doug. How you doing? Good. It's just a quick comment. Hi, Steve. Nice to see you again. You highlighted very well the Old Farts Club, the loyal Old Farts Club. So there's the 1952, and then the 50 years, and then we have the 25 years. And I sort of quick calculation, that sums up to 8,000 loyal Old Farts out of 10,000. So you have 2,000 that are under the 25. So I think the loyal Old Farts Club would really like to keep the name the way it is. So anyways, just something to consider and maybe a compromise of some sort.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Anybody else have anything? Okay.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for attending the AGM, and thank you to everybody who is online. Those who are online are able to join the insurance seminar at 2 o'clock, I'm assuming, Hannah? Yeah. So if you're interested in that, please rejoin at 2 o'clock. And for those of us here, let's go for burgers. Maybe we should let the people who are going to the tour line up for the burgers first, because we're running short on time. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Well, lots of people. I'll just say adjourned. Thank you very much. Excuse me, can I just get a show of hands of who is going to the museum? And is everybody good for rides? I guess so? Yeah. Okay.
There's only a few of them then. Okay. Yeah, they're